السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وأرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين آمين يا رب العالمين. أهلا وسهلا everybody to day 9 of our Fiqh of Salah series. Last time تحدثنا عن we started talking about صلاة التطوع, right? The voluntary prayers. We didn't finish the section, inshallah, so today we want to finish it and maybe get started and discuss Salatul Jama'ah. That's our next topic. So inshallah today we want to finish Salat al-Tatawwu', voluntary prayers. ثم we want to talk about Salatul Jama'ah. Interesting topic, inshallah. We're not going to finish it for sure. We'll get started on, inshallah, but we won't finish it. And then in the following weeks, we'll cover also Salatul Marid, right? Shorting the prayer, combining the prayer, Salatul Khawf, the fear prayer, Salatul Jum'ah, Eid, Kusuf, Matar, right? And then we'll talk about Al-Janaiz, funeral, the deceased. طيب. As usual, we start with a review. Bismillah. So, last week, the author started by mentioning what are the highest recommended voluntary prayers. Who remembers the ones he mentioned? Akadu. Anybody remember? Akadu salat, at-tatawwu'. He mentioned 4. Naam. Okay, we talked about those, but he mentioned 4 specific ones. Before even that, he said, Naam? No, he didn't mention that. He said Salat al-Kusuf, right? What else? He said Salat al-Kusuf, ثم istisqa, ثم tarawih, and then he mentioned witr. So he said the highest recommended Kusuf, istisqa. Kusuf is when the solar eclipse happens, right? And istisqa is the rain prayer, right? Asking for rain. And then he mentioned tarawih, and then he mentioned al-witr, and then he mentioned al-witr. Some of the ulama made these wajib, some of these wajib, right? So that's why they're very highly recommended. طبعا, of course, the 2 before Fajr highly recommended, the duha, etc. But these are from the highest. And we also know that, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he made al-witr wajib. He made al-witr wajib. Like it's wajib for the person to pray al-witr because of the emphasis in some of the hadith. طيب. So we said kusuf, istisqa, right? Eclipse, rain, prayer. And then he mentioned what? Tarawih, and then witr. Those 4. Jamil. طيب. What is the least number of rak'at for witr? We discussed, what's the least? Which one? I saw you go like this and then. Yeah, so the least, aqal, 1. Yeah? And witr fil Arabi, what does it mean? Wahid, al-witr. And that's one of the names of Allah, right? Allah says, Allah actually swears, wal-fajr, wa-layl al-ashr, wal-shaf'i wal-watr. Someone asked about shaf' last week. Al-shaf' means even. Okay? So al-shaf' is even and al-watr is odd, right? Uneven. طيب. نعم? Yeah. When we say, like, they say you pray al-shaf' wal-watr after Isha. So al-shaf' is any prayer you pray before witr after Isha. After Isha, before witr. You can call all of that shaf', right? طبعا, we know there's the sunnah of the rawatib. That's where we stopped last week. From this, we said either 10. Actually, anyways, this is the next question. So what is the least number of rak'at for witr? Is 1. What's the most that we have from the narrations of the Prophet ﷺ? We said 11. Right? 11. So we said the Prophet ﷺ has prayed 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. Right? And by the way, this 11 shows you, okay, that the night prayer, okay, 11 was part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right? When we talked about tarawih, the Hanabila said it has to be 20. But when you look at the other evidences, it seems like the 11 was also something that was part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and you saw in the witr as well. Because witr, technically, the Taraweeh in Ramadan, your witr is almost like a Taraweeh, right? 11 rak'at, tamam. He would do that, right? طيب, Jamil. What is the most? Oh, we just said it. So we said the most is 11. Naam. What is the least number of rak'at for Taraweeh? What's the least? For Taraweeh? Ya Sheikh, this is a new opinion. Huh? So we said 11. The Taraweeh 11. The Hanabila said the least 20. But it seems like the right opinion is that 11 is the least, right? You would pray 8 with Shafa al-Witr. Tamam. And that's acceptable. And some said that's the closest to the Sunnah. Wallahu a'lam. But we said last week that it's all acceptable. If you pray 20, that's acceptable. We have narrations where people in Medina, yani early generations. Yani we're talking about like Imam Malik's time. They started doing like in the 30s. Tamam, because people couldn't handle the long standing, right? فَكُلُّهُ جائز. So really if we ask about what's the maximum, okay, what's the maximum for Taraweeh? There's no real maximum, and there's no dalil for someone to say there's a maximum. Wallahu ta'ala. So if someone wants to do more than 20, we have evidence for that. We shouldn't be strict on that. But how many are the rawatib? We said rawatib are things that the Prophet, are sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ never missed. Or he would always make sure that he prayed them. And we said they're either what? 10 or 12. No, they're either 10 or 12. And the only issue that they had a difference about this, the only reason they had difference is because there's a hadith from one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ that she said 12, and there's a hadith that Ibn Umar said 10, right? And some of the ulama, they said that, well, who's more likely to have seen him more often? The wife. So they said, it makes more sense that the wife, that opinion is closer, right? And also because of the other reason was what? We have a hadith that says that the person who prays 12 will have a house in Jannah. The person that prays these rawatib will have a house in Jannah. And we said these rawatib are when? We have the 2 before Fajr, okay? And then we have 4 before Dhuhr. The Hanabila said it's 2 before Dhuhr. But the other opinion is that 4 before Dhuhr. So that's what? 6. Okay, so 6. And then 2 more after Dhuhr, 8. And then 2 after Maghrib, 10. And then 2 after Isha, 12. And if you pray those, some of the ulama said, is the math right? What's wrong? طيب. We said 2 before Fajr, 4 before Dhuhr, 6. 2 after Dhuhr, 8. 2 after Maghrib, 10. 2 after Isha, okay, 12. Okay, so these are the rawatib. And some of the ulama, they said the hadith, if you pray 12, a person will have a house in Jannah. Some said that this is for the person who can مداوم على ذلك. He did this often. Others said for every 12 you do, it's a house. And that's not something unrealistic for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Jannah, okay, people are going to have mansions and gardens and houses. Allah Kareem. So try your best to do that whenever you can. Even if it's like twice a week, 2 houses a week, that's a good investment. طيب. Here it takes you 30 years to get a house. And this is a house that you have to leave behind for your kids and other people who don't care about you. طيب. How many are the rawatib? So we said 10 or 12. There's other sunan. We're not going to discuss them here, maybe in a more advanced class. Sheikh Hassan, in his lectures on Fridays, he mentioned them. There's other sunan that the Prophet ﷺ would pray, right? Other sunan that the Prophet ﷺ would pray, like some before Asr, some before Maghrib, right? And so they're a lesser level, but the Prophet ﷺ would also pray them. So that's also part of the sunnah, a sunnah that is kind of forgotten. Cool. Right, let's continue. So, تفضل. Yeah. These are additional ones, not from the rawatib, like not from the high level of voluntary prayers. There's a second level after that. Okay. I believe there's. We'll talk about the أوقات الكراهة. We'll talk about them. It's here. Inshallah. Abshir. So. What about it? So, here you're asking about, can I combine the niyyah? Yeah, so you have two options. You can pray Tahiyat al-Masjid, okay? But Tahiyat al-Masjid is like the two rak'ahs that the Prophet ﷺ told us to pray before we sit down, okay? Some of the ulama, so here's the thing. Tahiyat al-Masjid, you shouldn't sit down in the masjid unless you prayed. If the jama'ah started, do you pray jama'ah? Do you pray tahiyyah then jama'ah? You just pray your jama'ah and inshallah you have done tahiyyah to the masjid. That's the point, is that you have done your tahiyyah to the masjid. If you want to make your, let's say I'm coming for Fajr, and do I pray tahiyyah then too? You can do that, ما في مشكلة. Can I pray the two of Fajr and that will count as tahiyyah? Yeah, that's fine. يجوز الجمع بين النيات from the same level. Okay? You can join the niyyah for something in the same level. Same level يعني level of sunniyah. Here it's tahiyyah is a sunnah and the fajr is a sunnah. So يجوز الجمع بينهما. الله أعلم. نعم.
What else, what other prayers can be combined in
So for example, let's see. Think of, so Salat, we said Tahiyya, okay? What other salawat can we combine niyyah for?
What about istikhara?
Istikhara, it's better to do it separate. 2 rak'ahs separate, other than your sunnahs, okay? Specific, because it's specific for that istikhara. And istikhara, you can even say it without the 2 rak'ahs, but it's better to do 2 specific rak'ahs for it. Wallahu alam. Other ones, I can't, right now my brain is naam, yep.
What about before Salat al-Jumu'ah?
Mm-hmm.
Before Sunnah, does that count as Tahiyyat al-Masjid? Because technically it's 4 and it's 2, you can't
Yeah, ما في مشكلة. So any sunan, like that we mentioned, for dhuhr, for
different numbers, right? Because in Fajr it's 2, but here it's 4 versus
لا, here your first 2, your first 2 for dhuhr, مثلا you want to pray dhuhr, the first 2 for dhuhr, you just came in, you pray 2, the first 2 you prayed for dhuhr, for the sunnah of dhuhr, will count as tahiyyah. ما في مشكلة. Inshallah you get the word for both of them. طيب, the next thing that the muallif says, he says, وتسن صلاة الليل بتأكد. So next he says that Salat al-Layl, the prayer at night, is sunnah mu'akkada. It's something that's highly recommended. Okay? It's something that is highly recommended. And then he says, وَهِيَ أَفْضَلُ مِنْ صَلَاةِ النَّهَارِ. And it's better than the prayer of an-nahar. طبعا the voluntary prayer of an-nahar. Okay? So the mas'ala is, you have voluntary prayers in the day and you have voluntary prayers in the night. Which one is better? The Hanabila, they say that the one in the night is better because of the hadith أفضل الصلاة بعد الفريضة صلاة الليل. The best prayer after al-farida, after the obligatory prayer, is the prayer of the night, right? And it makes sense. And the prayer of the night is a prayer that is more private with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have many narrations that the prayer, the night prayer is sharaful mu'min and many narrations like that. So the night voluntary prayer is highly recommended. They're better than the daily voluntary prayers. Any form of night voluntary prayer falls into this. So, any general nafil in the night prayer, from taraweeh to witr to tahajjud. Tahajjud is after, it's when you sleep and then you wake up and you pray. All of those, your witr, all of that counts as night prayer. Okay? So Salatul Layl is like a big circle. Okay? In that circle, you have witr, you have tahajjud, you have taraweeh, right? All those different kinds. So that all of that will fall into the night prayer. طيب, then we go to sujood al-tilawa. So we're going to talk about sujood al-tilawa, sujood al-shukr, okay, or sajdat al-shukr. So sajdat al-tilawa, what's sajdat al-tilawa? What's sajdat al-tilawa? Tilawa is recitation. So sajdat al-tilawa is what? When you see that sign in the masjid, in the Quran, that looks like I don't know what it looks like. Naam? Like a prayer mat or yeah. So that means you have to do a tilawa, a sajda, right? So they call it sajda tilawa because it's a sajda when you're reciting Quran. طبعا, is this related to the salah? Yes, because it can be done in the salah and it can be done outside of the salah. Versus sajdat al-shukr, okay, the Hanabila say it's not part of the salah. It's not part of the salah. طيب. That's an important thing to mention. So, وَسُجُودُ تِلَاوَةٍ لِقَارِئٍ وَمُسْتَمِعٍ. Okay? So, this sajdat tilawa, طبعا it's recommended. This is not something wajib, يعني you don't have to do it. But it's highly recommended. وَسُجُودُ تِلَاوَةٍ لِقَارِئٍ for the reciter. وَمُسْتَمِعٍ. Okay? وَمُسْتَمِعٍ. What does it mean مستمع? يعني the one who's attentively listening, not the one who hears. Okay? So there's sam' and there's istima'. There's sam' and istima'. Al-istima' is when you're trying to hear and you're listening, right? You're listening to something. As-sam' is when you hear something. So he's saying it's for the one who's reading and the one who's listening. Yani he's following the recitation. It's recommended for both of them to do sajdat at-tilawa. And it happens in 14 places. Okay? 14 places according to the Hanabila. Anybody know the 14? You guys want to go over them? So we have the first one in, are we going from Baqarah down? So the first one from Surah Al-A'raf. Okay? Anything in Anfal? Nope. Anything in? Nope. 12? Nope. 13. We have one in Surah Al-Ra'd. Okay. So that's 2. You guys gotta help me, man. That's 2. And then we have 14, 15, 16. I think in Naam? La, you guys, Surah Al-Nahl, is there one? I think there's one in Surah Al-Nahl. Yes, that's 3. Is there one in Surah Al-Isra? No. Surah Maryam? Yes. So that's 4. Surah Maryam. Taha? No. Anbiya? No. Surah Al-Hajj, okay, Surah 2, right? Surah 22 has 2 sajdat. This, you won't forget it this way. Surah Al-Hajj is 22. So it has 2. It's the only surah that has 2. So 4 plus 2, we're at 6 now. Allahu Akbar. Okay. We're at 6. Surah Al-Mu'minun doesn't have. Surah Al-Nur doesn't have. Furqan, I don't think so. Furqan fiha? What's the sajda for Furqan? Google says Furqan. Okay, so let's say Furqan. So that's 7. Okay, there's in Naml, Naam. So that's 8. There's in Rum, no. Luqman, no. Sajda, yeah, Sajda there is, yeah. So that's 9. Sad, we're going to talk about Sad. Hold on to Sad. So we said Sajda, 32, 33, Ahzab, no. Saba, no. Fatir, no. Okay, so all the 30s don't have any. Fussilat, Naam. Fussilat has one. Naam. So that's 10. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Did you say what? Which one? Najm, Naam. 53 in the end, right? So that's 11. And then we have 56, 57. Naam. We have Surah Al-Inshiqaq. And then we have Iqra. Bismi Rabbik. Okay. That's 13. We missed one, man. We missed one. So, Surah Sad, there's a sajda in Surah Sad. The Hanabila say this one is not sajda tilawa. There's a narration from Ibn Abbas. You guys know the ayah in Surah Sad? It's an ayah when I believe Dawood alayhi salam is mentioning the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think فَخَرَّ سَاجِدًا. What's the ayah? Anybody can look it up. But it's basically for shukr. And Ibn Abbas says that Sad laysat min azaim as-sujud. Okay? This is in Bukhari. So Ibn Abbas said this is not from, and the Hanabila are very picky about this because they said if it's sajdat shukr and you do it in salah, it will invalidate your prayer. Tamam? Sad is not one of them. Okay, the one in Sad. If anybody can find it up, you can see that it's a sajdat shukr, where Dawood alayhi salam is basically mentioning the ni'am of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he says the sajda. So it is in 14 places in the Quran. Two of them are in Sajda, in Surah Al-Hajj. Tamam. So he says, لِقَارِئٍ وَمُسْتَمِعٍ وَيُكَبِّرُ إِذَا سَجَدْ وَإِذَا رَفَعَ يَجْلِسُ وَيُسَلِّمُ. So they see this as a salah, okay? So they say you do takbir. If you're not in salah, okay? Allahu Akbar, you go into sujood, you say at least one Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. There are some narrations about some specific hadith, specific dua in that. There's some weakness to that, but there's no problem if you do that dua. And they said, then you get up and you do taslim. Why? Because it's salah, right? They say it's salah, and they said that according to the hadith, تحريمها التكبير وتحليلها التسليم. So since it's salah, okay, you have to say Allahu Akbar to start, and you have to say Salamu Alaikum to end it. Does that make sense? Now, if you're in salah, okay, and you're reciting the ayah, you would just do sajda, okay, and then get up again. And the taslim happens at the end of the salah anyways, so there's no problem there. So وَيُكَبِّرْ إِذَا سَجَدْ وَإِذَا رَفَعَ يَجْلِسْ وَيُسَلِّمْ. Okay, so recommended for both the reciter and the listener, one who is listening, not hearing. So even like if someone's reciting, okay, in Taraweeh, and you're like sitting down, and you hear it, it is recommended to do the sajda tilawah. And even more recommended to get up and pray with them. Okay, so even more recommended to get up and pray with them. Naam. Yeah, that's what I just said. So the Hanabali, they said that. That's what I just said right now. It's coming. I'll talk about it when we get there. Wudu is required because, so obviously you need wudu because this is salah. So you shouldn't do such. Yani when you have a mushaf, you should have wudu. Remember when in tahara, what did we say about reciting the Quran without wudu? What did we say about that? We said it's what? Yeah, we said it's okay or no? We said it's fine, okay? But in janaba, no. In janaba, no. So in the higher, I guess, level of not having tahara, what's the word for impurity? My brain is. Of impurity, you wouldn't be able to recite. But if you just lost your wudu, it's okay to recite it, but it's better to have wudu. And if you want to touch the mushaf, you have to have wudu. So obviously, if you're going to do sajda tilawa, usually you're holding the Quran, tamam. So you should have wudu. Okay. Yeah, and then they say that it's done for someone who is allowed to be your imam. What does that mean? So if you hear it on TV, yani you don't have to. That's what they're saying. Yani. No big deal. If you hear it, yani, and you're listening to it, I don't see a problem in doing it. طيب, how is it done? We say you say takbir, you do sajda, and then so Allahu Akbar, you go down, and then Allahu Akbar to come up, right? And then Salamu Alaikum. That's fine, right? You end with taslim. Yeah. طيب. It says here, and this is an important mas'ala, وكره لإمام قراءتها, okay, في سرية. It is makruh, it is disliked, okay, for an imam to recite a surah with, that's why it was good to mention them. You should know them. With tilawa in a sirriya. Yani if the imam is leading dhuhr, it's disliked for him to do, okay, to mathalan, to read a surah with a sajda in it. It's makruh for him to do that. Why? Because it's going to come up and then he's not going to do sajda. And if he does sajda, now it's a problem. And imagine I'm praying dhuhr right now, and then it's like all of a sudden I just go down. What's going to happen to the guys behind me? Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, what's happening? Allah. Then everyone's like, is he going down? Do I go down? Like it's confusion. But they said karoha, number one, so karaha for him to do it, and then they said it's haram for the ones behind him to go down. So we're going to talk about this because this is a bit problematic, or yani we need to discuss it. So he says كره الإمام من قراءتها في سرية وسجوده لها. Okay, so it's makruh to recite it in a silent prayer. طبعا if he's by himself, no problem, yani he can do it. But if he's leading people, if he recites it, it's makruh, and then if he goes down, it's makruh. Okay, But what about the guys behind? They said, وَعَلَى مَأْمُومٍ مُتَابَعَتُهُ فِي غَيْرِهَا. And the guys behind him, or the follower, okay, they should follow him in everything except that one. Except that one. طيب. We have opinion of another Hanbali, but he's يعني Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He's a Hanbali, but he's we can say he's a mujtahid in the other madhahib. And he said that حتى الموفق ibn Qudama, I believe, yeah, and he's one of the great Hanbalis. He also said, يعني صاحب المغني, he said that it's okay and you follow him. And this opinion makes sense, right? Why? Because if you're not going to follow, the Imam was put there for you to follow him. Unless he's doing something really abnormal, right? But for something like that, it can be assumed that it's sajdat tilawa, okay? What if it's he's doing some, he forgot something in sahu, right? Or whatever, right? So it makes sense to follow the Imam there, okay? They say that it's haram, and the Imam is doing it out of ignorance or forgetfulness, right? But it makes sense that you follow him, okay? And I think that opinion makes more sense, because if you don't follow him, there's going to be more confusion. Yani imagine now the Imam, طبعا we said it's makruh for him, but let's say he does it, okay? He's ignorant about it and he does it. But if we tell people don't do it, then everybody is going to stand, and then others might go down, and it's just going to be confusion. So it makes sense to always just follow the Imam. I think, naam. They do that in Taraweeh. And subhanAllah, you know what's interesting is that even in Taraweeh, when it's loud, people get confused. And that's why some Imams will mention it. Because half the room doesn't know Arabic. طبعا those who recite the Quran continuously, they know this is a sajda, okay? And usually there's a word that says, okay? فَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ, خَرَّ رَاكِعًا, or something like that, right? But even in that, people get confused. So it makes sense that you just follow the Imam. So for this one, we're gonna just kind of go against the author, and we're gonna say that it's okay to follow the Imam in that one. If he does that, it's okay, inshallah. طيب, and then they said, وَسُجُودُ شُكْرٍ. Now, the Hanabali, you know why they said that? They said, well, it's sunnah for the person who hears it. But the guy who's behind him, and he doesn't hear it, doesn't make sense for him to do sajdat. Does that make sense? Yeah, their reason, they said, the follower shouldn't do sajdat tilawa, because in a silent prayer, he didn't hear it. And the sajdat tilawa is for the one who's reciting it and the one who hears it. And he's neither the one who recited it, nor the one who heard it. Okay? But it's just a sajda, so it's not a big deal, and you're following the Imam, and it should be fine. طيب. Next we go to sajdat al-shukr. طيب, when do we do sajdat al-shukr? From the name. What's shukr? Shukr is gratitude. And so they say sajdat al-shukr is done when a new blessing, you have a child, you just got a job, a dua just was accepted, you've been making dua for, to lose a few pounds, and alhamdulillah, you reach your number. Allahu Akbar. It's a big ni'mah, huh? Your favorite team scored? I'm not sure if that's a ni'mah. طيب, you made dua for it. Made dua that Maghrib make it to the final. They made it to the semis or the final? Or if مثلا something bad is pushed away from you, you're grateful for that. فhe says وسجود شكر عند تجدد نعم, okay, واندفاع نقم, okay. So whenever it's recommended to do sujood shukr when you have a new blessing, or when you're protected from something harmful, okay. Something bad was going to happen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected you from it. So now you're grateful. Alhamdulillah. Okay? So you do sajdat shukr. You do a sajdat shukr, right? And it's just a sajda. It's just a sajda. Okay? You do subhan rabbil a'la, and you can thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in whichever way you like. But that sajda is a type of shukr. It's a type of shukr. And we have Surah Sad where Dawood alayhi salam did it. Something that is recommended. So it is recommended to do it when there's a new blessing, okay, or when something harmful is pushed away. وتبطل به صلاة غير جاهل وناس وهو كسجود تلاوة. So now this is what they tell you, that تبطل به صلاة غير جاهل. So someone who's not ignorant, who's ignorant of it, no big deal. تمام? So if done inside a prayer, it will invalidate it unless he's ignorant or did it out of forgetfulness. And if you did it out of forgetfulness, okay, in your salah, then it's not gonna ruin your salah. But if you know that it's not part of the salah and you do it intentionally, then it will invalidate your salah. It will invalidate your salah. And so it is done like sujood of recitation, such as tilawa, right? So you need wudu for it. You have to say Subhan Rabbi al-A'la at least once, and it's considered a form of prayer. So that's sajdat al-shukr. Sajdat al-shukr. طيب, let's go to the prohibited times. تفضل.
Can you elaborate a bit on what it means by it's considered a form of prayer?
يعني they said that meaning that you should have wudu.
Oh, okay.
And you should say, يعني if you should say Allahu Akbar, sujood, okay? You do Subhan Rabbi al-A'la, you thank Allah, you make dua, okay? You get up, Allahu Akbar, and then Salaam Alaikum.
Okay. And does it have to be like just the sujood? Like
And they also, sorry, they also require يعني whatever the shurut, you know, the shurut that we mentioned, tahara, qibla, awra, no najasa on you, right? Those things would be shurut as well.
Can you like expand it and like maybe pray like 2 rakats nafil as like a form of salat?
If you want to pray 2 nafil as a type of shukr, that's fine. That's fine, يعني أصلا salah in general is a type of shukr, يعني you're being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is specific, like sometimes you just, you know, like something happens, you just finished the Quran, you just finished this juz', right? Or you just got like, you passed your MCAT or something, I don't know, like you found out that you're getting a child and you've been waiting for a long time. There's these moments where you're like, you don't know what to do. People start screaming, come down, pray to, do a sajda shukr and now. تفضل.
Going off of the 2 rak'ah nafil, could you call it salat al-shukr?
No, because that's not what يعني the sunnah is. The sunnah is to do that sajda shukr at that moment. At that moment, you have that feeling of shukr, of gratitude, or alhamdulillah, I've been saved from a big harm. Okay, you do the sajda shukr. It's just like it's something that happens on the moment. Now. قد يكون نعم. لكن and like in these مسائل there's a قاعدة in fiqh that you say if there's khilaf, go with the ahwat. And one of the things in the Hanbali madhab is they try to go with the ahwat. Ahwat يعني meaning the safer one. So if somebody says haram and somebody says makruh, الأحوط إنه to say that this is haram, it's safer. تمام? نعم. No, and لها وجه يعني they have their dalils for it. Like, because this is an introductory class, we're not going to go into high ikhtilaf, because otherwise, we'll finish, when we're in our, in 2030. طيب, نعم.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but the reason I asked is because so using your example, right? Like you got a job, right? Alhamdulillah, I think like when I was in that shoe, I was on public transit, I was on the bus. You can't do such a shukr on the bus, right? In that sense, right? Like
You could. I mean, you just do it like with your eyes or something. You can't just do it there. Because remember, this is considered a voluntary prayer. And remember what we said about voluntary prayers? Al-qiyam is not a shart. Remember we said in voluntary prayers, standing is not a shart. So you could do it like that. You could do it in the car. Park your car and just do it inside. It's -20, you just do it inside. Because it's a voluntary thing, right? الأمر واسع جدا. Right? And someone can just say Alhamdulillah, Shukrulillah, and then do sajda, and so on. There's a lot of flexibility when it comes to tatawwa. طيب, let's talk about the prohibited times. Okay? So there are times in the day where you're not supposed to pray. Okay? So the mu'allif now he says, وَأَوْقَاتِ النَّهِي خَمْسَةً. Some say 3. The Hanabila say 5. And I'll mention why. So the Hanabila say that they are 5. Let me explain them first before you look at the slide. There's 5. 2 are long and 3 are short. 2 are long and 3 are short. The long ones are related to a salah, Fajr and Asr, and the short ones are related to the position of the sun. If you think about it that way, you won't get confused. The long ones are related to 2 salahs, which is Fajr and Asr, and the short ones, when I say short, it's like 5 to 10 minutes, okay? They're related to the position of the sun. Tamam? So there's 5. طيب. So he says here, so أوقات النهي are خمس, okay? من طلوع فجر ثان إلى طلوع الشمس ومن صلاة العصر إلى الغروب. So number 1, من طلوع فجر ثان. الفجر الثاني, the second fajr, we said when? It's the time of fajr. It's the actual time of fajr. الفجر الثاني, okay, it's not the false fajr, the real fajr. Remember, it's actually when we mentioned that there's 2 kind of fajrs. There's 2 fajr times. There's the fake one, they call it al-kadhib, and there's the true one. So they said من طلوع فجر ثان إلى طلوع الشمس, right? They have a hadith, because there's a hadith that says إذا طلع الفجر فلا صلاة إلا ركعتي الفجر. إذا طلع الفجر فلا صلاة, يعني if fajr comes out, okay, فلا صلاة, there's no salah except the 2 rak'ahs of fajr. Okay, rahu Ahmad wa Abu Dawud. So من طلوع فجر, so the first one, okay, from the second fajr until sunrise, This is one of the long ones, okay? So this is where the other madhab kind of have some ikhtilaf, because if you think about it, so are you saying, the Hanabila are technically saying that when it's fajr time, what is it, 6:26? From 6:26 until sunrise, this is time of tahrim, okay? So, okay, when are you going to pray fajr? so when are you going to pray fajr? They said those 4, the two sunnahs of fajr and the 2 fajr fard, those are istithna'at, يعني they are not part of it, because the hadith says إذا طلع الفجر فلا صلاة إلا, except ركعتي الفجر. So they said it starts from the second opinion of Imam Ahmad, actually, he said that's from fajr prayer until sunrise. So, and that's what the other madhab said, that once you pray fajr, you're not allowed to pray anything else. That's why some of the ulama, they said, if you miss your sunnah of fajr, you need to wait until the sun rises like duha time. Okay? طبعا not as soon as sun rises, because that's one of the 3 short. Okay? We'll talk about it. So, the second opinion of Imam Ahmad, that yeah, it's from once you pray fajr until sunrise. Okay? So again, the first prohibited time is from fajr until sunrise. Yani from the time you pray fajr until the sun rises. So what would be sunrise? So 7:56. So right now, after you pray fajr until 7:56, you're not allowed to pray anything there. You should not pray in that time. طيب. Now, of course, there's another opinion that you can pray your sunnah of fajr right after fajr. Okay, and then that's an accepted opinion. ما في مشكلة. تفضل. الاستخارة. Should you do it in that time? You shouldn't do it in that time. No. There are ulama, they said that any salat that has a reason, like salat al-hay, istikhara, you can do it that time. But wallahu ta'ala alam, it makes more sense to just wait. يعني your istikhara, does it have to happen at that time? No. And you can just do your dua for istikhara for that time, just because of the nahi. Okay, the nahi, there's a qaida in fiqh that if there's a nahi and يعني something lesser, go with the nahi, because the nahi is stronger. Al-ahwat, يعني the safer. Salat al-khusuf, if Salat al-khusuf happens, Salat al-khusuf, if it happens, that's scientifically possible, right? Is it possible? Huh? Because
all you'd have to do is the sun and the moon to align. You'd have to be on the horizon.
I'm leaning toward Allah. I'm not sure. But it seems it's from the akad sunan, okay, like from the highly recommended sunan and from the prayers of congregation. And so it might have istithna. We're going to talk about the istithna'at that the Hanabila mentioned here, يعني the exceptions. It could be one of them. I don't have a 100% answer. I'm not sure about it. Inshallah, I can look it up and give you an answer, inshallah. The second time, they say from Asr until sunset. Remember we said that? The Hanabila, they say that it's haram to pray Asr, okay, after that specific time, right? When the sun starts to get red, right? So they said from Asr until sunset, okay? So there's two times of Asr. There's the one that it's recommended to pray, and there's the haram time of Asr, okay? So from that time until sunset, that is prohibited, okay? And there's a hadith for it. It says here, لا صلاة بعد صلاة العصر حتى تغرب الشمس. It's very clear. متفق عليه, right? This is in Bukhari and Muslim. So that's why they say that at this time it's haram to pray Asr, okay? Unless you have an excuse. So now we mentioned the two times, the long time. So they're pretty long, right? Because we're saying if you pray Fajr, يعني 6:40 until 7:56, that's a long time. That's how long? That's about an hour, right? So it's an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 16 minutes. So that's a long time, hour and 16 minutes. And Asr, right? It's about an hour as well. And maybe a bit shorter, but it's about an hour depending if it's summer or winter. So that's also a long time. But the short times, now these are related to the sun, okay? The short times. So then he says, وَعِنْدَ طُلُوعِهَا إِلَى ارْتِفَاعِهَا قَدْرَ رُمْحٍ. Okay? So from the start of the rising of the sun until it's up in the sky, a spear's height. That's why, if you look at the time right now, okay, 7:56 is sunrise, okay? You're not supposed to pray duha right at sunrise. You shouldn't do that, okay? You pray duha about 10 to 15 minutes after. Why? Because of this nahi. So there's a nahi, prohibition to pray anytime from the sun rises, okay, the sun is rising, until 10 to 15 minutes, right? And so if you want to pray duha, when should you pray it? At 8:10. If you want to pray duha, because 7:56 is the sunrise, when can you pray duha? About 8:10. That's the safe. Always do about 15 minutes and you'll be on the safe zone, right? Because that's if you want to measure it until it's up in the sky, a spear's height, it's about 15 minutes, okay? So distance between the horizon and the sun should be a spear's height. About 15 minutes or so after sunrise, varies according to location. Here in Calgary, and I checked this with Sheikh Hassan, it's about 15 minutes. So if you want to pray duha tomorrow, you pray at about 8:15 or so. And you should be on the safe side. So that's the first one. The second one, he says, حتى تزول, okay? وعند غروبها حتى يتم. Okay? So now, okay, when the sun reaches its highest, okay? It's in the middle of the sky. Remember that we said dhuhr is when it's right in the highest, right on top of us, and then it leans over. Zawal, this is dhuhr time. But the short time when it's on the top, this is, you're not allowed to pray this time. So don't ever pray right before dhuhr. And this is also a short time. It's a very short time, 3 to 4 minutes. So dhuhr time, let's be practical here. Dhuhr time, 12:21. Are you allowed to pray at 12:20? No, it's haram to pray at that time. 12:19? No. 12:18? No. So don't pray right before dhuhr. Don't pray right before dhuhr. Wait until dhuhr adhan goes, then you can pray your sunan. Okay? Tafadhal. Naam.
Sheikh, I have a question. So my understanding is Salat al-Duha is from after Fajr, after the prescribed time, right before...
Not after Fajr. After sunrise, 15 minutes after sunrise.
And then it ends any time before Zawal, right?
Yeah, so if you want to pray duha, you can pray duha from 8:10 tomorrow until 12:15 or something.
I understand that. My question is like, I'll give you an example. Today, I woke up, prayed Fajr, went back to sleep. Forgive me, I woke up pretty late, right? And then let's say I rushed to pray Salat al-Duha, because it's a good habit, right? If I pray like maybe 12:18, 12:19, you're not supposed to do that, obviously. But I understand like the prohibition around Zawal is that because you don't want to give the impression that you're worshiping the sun. I'm indoors, nobody can see me. I know I'm not doing it. Does it still count?
There is no hadith that يعني from يعني no hadith, no practice of the Sahaba or the ulama that they would do that, right? And I know sometimes we try to use our logic to say, well, it's not really harming me. It could be an argument, Allahu A'lam, I'm not sure. But like remember again, يعني it's just 3 minutes. يعني. Like do you have to pray in those 3 minutes? If there's an opinion that's saying tahrim, okay, يعني do you have to pray in those 3 minutes? You don't have to pray those 3 minutes. And it's not a wajib. Now there's exceptions. Like if it's something wajib that you just remembered, okay, you missed Fajr and you woke up at 12:20, okay, should you pray your Fajr? Pray your Fajr. Okay, it's time of karaha, you pray your Fajr. ما في مشكلة. Because it's an exception. We'll talk about the exceptions, okay? Because that's a fard, it's a wajib. Why? Because if you die, it's going to be dain on you. Because you lived in that time. But if you die and you didn't pray your duha, is Allah going to ask you for it? No. But He's going to ask you for your Fajr. Does that make sense? You should stay on the safe side. And the last one, so we said the 3 short ones, we said the time right after sunrise, okay? And then that time right before dhuhr, okay? And then the last one, it says, okay, وَعِنْدَ غُرُوبِهَا حَتَّى يَتِمْ. And when the sun is setting until, okay, so, and that's also a short time. When the sun starts to set until it's completely set, okay? So, يعني right before Maghrib. You know, that's a time of tahrim, right before Maghrib. You shouldn't pray around that time. So let's quickly review 5 times. 2 long ones, 3 short. 2 long ones are after Fajr, okay? The first one after Fajr until what? Until sunrise, okay? The second time from Asr until sunset. Those are the 2 long times. The 3 short ones related to the sun, those 15 minutes after sunrise, okay? And then when it's on the top, a few minutes before dhuhr, and then when it's setting right before Maghrib. It's easy to remember like that. Fajr, Asr, and then sunrise, middle of the day, and then right before sunset. Tamam? Khalas? Memorize them? Cool? Okay? Naam.
Just a question to clarify
Tfaddal.
the difference between able to pray Fajr in that Qur'an
Naam.
and Asr. Asr, if you get closer to the Qur'an time, would you have to pray as a qada? Or you can still pray?
If you get close to the karaha time, no. If you pray it in the karaha time of Asr, so it's the time, okay, that time it still counts as ada. You prayed it on time, lakin ma'ithim, without udhr. It's ada. If you don't have an excuse, you'll be sinful, but you prayed it on time. Okay? Does that make sense? The one who prayed it early, he prayed it on time, and he's not sinful. Okay? The person who prayed it in Maghrib time, okay, with no excuse, he's sinful for praying it late. يعني it's also qada. It'll be qada. Okay? واضح? طيب. So then he says exceptions. Okay? فيحرم ابتداء نفل فيها مطلقا. He mentioned something here that it's not allowed to start a nafil in it. And also they go into detail and they say you shouldn't also start a nafil if you know it's about to go into tahrim time. Yani you shouldn't start a nafil and then you know the tahrim, the haram time is going to start. Because then you're going to finish it in the haram time. You shouldn't do that. Okay? So they say that you shouldn't do that. So except لا قضاء فرض وفعل ركعتي طواف وسنة فجر أداء قبلها وصلاة جنازة بعد فجر وعصر. And that's how he finishes the chapter here. So now the exceptions. He says, so it's prohibited to pray in any of those, any nafil during prohibited times, but the following are exceptions. Making up a missed fard. So if you just get up and you missed fajr and it's tahrim time, you pray it. Okay? Because this one has a reason and it's wajib, it's fard on you. Because the Prophet ﷺ says, if you miss a faridah, as soon as you remember, you pray it. As soon as you remember, you pray it. Tamam? Even if you forget it, as soon as you remember, you pray it. طيب. 2 rak'ahs of tawaf. What are these 2 rak'ahs of tawaf? When you do your tawaf, you're supposed to pray 2 behind Maqam Ibrahim, right? Those are an exception as well. And they have a hadith for it, يعني. Yeah, they have the hadith, يا بني عبد مناف لا تمنعوا أحدا طاف بهذا البيت وصلى أي ساعة شاء من ليل أو نهار. Don't stop anybody that من ليل أو نهار, يعني anytime, don't stop anybody that's praying in that time from night or day. So this is pretty general. So those two, and then making up 2 sunnahs of Fajr, okay? Right, and because we have a hadith of a Sahabi who made them up after Fajr, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed it, okay? So that's why if you miss your 2 sunnahs of Fajr, before Fajr, you can pray them after Fajr, but it's always better to pray them before Fajr. And then Janazah prayer after Salat, after start of Fajr, and prayer of Asr. That's usually the time people do the Janazah prayer. After, here we do it like Dhuhr, I think, okay? Naam. But these are during the long times of Tahrim. In the short times of Tahrim, those 3, you shouldn't do Janazah. Why? Because Aslan is 3 minutes. So they say, khalas, just wait those 3 minutes. They say, unless it's going to harm the corpse, or it's going to, something, it's urgent. But you should just wait those 5-10 minutes, okay? Otherwise, in the long ones, after Fajr or after Asr, it's allowed to do that, okay? I believe in Saudi Arabia, they usually pray them after Asr. Salat al-Janazah is usually after Asr in the big masajid. Here, we usually do it after Dhuhr, and that's fine. And then that's even safer, technically. Tamam? طيب. We have like 4 minutes, okay? I wanted to go into the debate of the congregational prayer. طبعا the مسألة صلاة الجماعة, we have Isha in 4 minutes inshallah. صلاة الجماعة, طيب, let me ask you guys a question. صلاة الجماعة, congregational prayer, is it wajib or sunnah? What do you guys think? Bismillah.
Didn't the Prophet say he would burn someone's house down?
Jameel. Okay. So that inclines to wujub. طيب, what else? So if you can hear or not. So in this mas'ala, there's 4 opinions. Okay. So you have the opinion that they say it's fard kifaya. Yani it's fard on the whole ummah. If some do it, okay, then alhamdulillah, everybody else is okay praying by themselves, okay? Then we have the opinion of that it's fard ayn. It's fard on every ayn, on every individual. And that's the opinion of the Hanabila, the opinion of Imam Ahmad, Al-Awza'i, and other ulama. And the Hanabila are the only ones that went with this, okay? That's why I wanted to go through this debate. Number 3, they said sunnah mu'akkada, and there's probably majority of the ulama, they said sunnah mu'akkada. So you have مثلا ulama from all the madhahib. يعني, when I say all the madhahib, because we have majority of the madhab and the imam himself, and there's other imams in the madhab that might go against it. Tamam? And then you have the last opinion, which is the opinion of the Zahiriyya. We never talked about the Zahiriyya, but the Zahiriyya are another madhab that is considered in fiqh. They took everything literally, okay? And it started by someone who's called Dawood al-Zahiri, and they see everything literal, okay? And some ulama consider them as one of the madhahib. Now, they said that it's a shart actually. يعني shart صحة, meaning that if you don't pray in jama'ah, your salah doesn't count aslan. The others said, if it's wajib and you prayed by yourself, it counts, but you're sinful. Does that make sense? Okay. The Zahiriyya, they said that, I think I have it here, yeah. So 4 opinions, fard kifaya, Shafi'is, Hanafis, Malikis. Fard ayn, on every individual, the Hanabila talked about that. Highly recommended, a huge number of scholars, they said that, the sunnah mu'akkada. And number 4, it's a condition for the validity of the prayer. Those are the Zahiriyya that they mentioned that. The dalils for the wujub are very strong. Okay? مثلا, you have the dalil of the hadith that the brother mentioned, right? That the Prophet said that, this was in the time of Medina, okay? That he said that يعني هممت, لقد هممت. It's يعني I had the intention, or I really wanted to get someone to lead the prayer and go to the houses of those who are not praying in jama'ah. This was a Isha Salah. He was talking about this, and burned their houses had it not been for the children and the high. And so some took this as something that's very serious. Others said this is meant as because we have narrations saying that it's the hypocrites who don't pray Fajr and Isha, and the heaviest Salah is on the hypocrites. It's Fajr and Isha. So they said this is the Prophet ﷺ doesn't want people to be similar to the hypocrites. So had a zajr, يعني just kind of what's the opposite? What's zajr? Zajr is like يعني opposite of motivation. Yani kind of like just to put people, to push people away from missing those salawat. Tamam? And also they have the dalil of salatul khawf, right? That even in war you have to pray jama'ah. And we have the Surah An-Nisa, it explains how to pray jama'ah during war, right? And it's not like some of them had to do it. The way, when we talk about it, you have a line of people praying during war, and then another defending, and then they're supposed to switch. Tamam? So they said this is another dalil. The other groups, they said, well, we have a hadith that says that the jama'ah prayer, and we'll end here, has 27 rewards more than the fard prayer, than the single, when you pray by yourself. So they said, well, the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who prays by himself gets one reward, and he didn't say that he's sinful. So afdal means it's better. Like we have the fadl, which is single, all right? And so on. And there's lots of adillah. Maybe we'll continue this discussion, inshallah, next time. And we'll end here, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.